Guylin, pleasure, man. This is so great to have you here. So
Yeah.
I got to say, like, I'm super excited to share your story because one of the things that I was just talking to you about, which I was super impressed by, was that you literally came in with nothing. Like, you have experience, but you were working for an agency and with clients before, but you had like no email list, you had no personal brand, you had absolutely nothing going on. And what was the recurring number you just told me you hit with your
2K a
productized
month.
offer? 2K
Yeah,
a month
2K.
in like 5 months, starting from nothing. Like, that's freaking awesome. So I want to like really share your story because I think it's such a good, like, there's so many experts out there and people that feel like, oh, I'm so behind, but it just goes to show how you can like really start stacking momentum and keep going in a few months. So tell me like a little bit before, like when you're, I think you said you joined in September. Tell me what was going on like just before you jumped into Catalyst. Like, what were you doing? What was your day to day like? Give me the big picture overview.
So we had a big agency of 13 people, which I was kind of one of the three founders. And a typical agency model, it grows very quickly and it burns very quickly after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we realized we built something that was just it was just hell. And I was like, It's good though. You need that because it shows you what you don't want. You have to go to that level of kind of complexity and piling stuff on top of each other to realize what you don't want. And so yeah, anyway, that crashed, and it was kind of a good reset.
Mhm.
And then I realized like I don't enjoy working with the big team, even though I thought I did. So it
Mhm.
was trying to find something where I could help others because in the agency it was very limited and the clients kind of owned you. You could not help people as much as I wanted to help others, and that's kind of where it started. So I had the idea. My dad's a big bonsai collector, and it kind of fizzled into the next thing of like, okay, well, I see there's a big kind of demand around that, and obviously the internet marketing space is still super new in that niche, and
Mhm.
we built a product in that. It was great. Low ticket product. It did okay. It didn't blow the lights out, but I also built it in the wrong direction. Of obviously leading with the product first and then having nowhere to send someone.
Oh yeah,
So
I've done
so anyway, yeah. So it
it.
was a good learning curve. And then from there, it was like dabbling with some. I kind of went back to what I knew, but put boundaries in place. So I had some good clients that I was helping with offers and building out certain things when they needed. And then I kind of started realizing because my girlfriend started working with a local agency, and it was fun because now we could start talking about the same stuff, like she was learning from me, and I realized like how much I enjoyed teaching her how to do the things that came easy to me.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like, and I mean, we'd obviously, you and I had been connected for quite some time before that, having a chat. And
Mhm.
it was one night that you mentioned something about the community and workshops that got my brain going, and I said to you, listen, I'd love to come along. I enjoy the way that you're doing things, and it's time for something new, so let's have a go.
I love that, man. And one of the things that you did right away was just take the workshop model and really run it because again, you had zero lists. Like, you had nothing, right? Like, there was no, normally when I tell people to come in, when they come into the community, I say, hey, like, run this 14-day rainmaker sequence, launch your productized offer. Like, you were starting from scratch. So tell me what happened when you like joined and then started working together on launching the workshops with paid ads, like launching your mid-ticket offers.
Yeah, so like I mean, I could have sent the 14-day rainmaker, but it would have been to like my mom, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, so we had in the agency that I had come from, we had run live events for clients, and they absolutely crushed. But the complexity around it was what I really hated. The live event was great, um, but I wanted to be the person doing the live event because I'm an extrovert. I get energy from people, talking to people, helping people, stuff like that. So I realized that the live event is something that I'd love to do. So obviously with jumping into you had a system that you knew worked, of starting with productized offer and then starting to create from that. But obviously I had no base or anybody to send it to, so
Mhm.
the idea for me was then start with a workshop. I've obviously run ads before, and I kind of used it as a dual purpose test for me. Is like, can you, if a client comes in and they've got nothing, can they start with mid-ticket workshops and figure it out and get clients. And so it was a challenge for myself, but data as well. So I started with zero list, zero Facebook pixel, and a brand new ad account because it now worked out in my favor because I've got cool data to show clients.
Mhm.
And also, take the objection out of like, I've got nothing. I'm like, well, I was there too, and guess what? It worked. So that was the idea. Run workshops,
Mhm.
and the cool thing was like I learned to just remove the expectation of the outcome. I previously we always used to attach self-worth to an outcome of an offer, and this was kind of the moment of letting it go and just saying, listen, let's just put stuff out there. There's some stuff going to work, some shit that's not going to work, and that's great. Like that's the fun part. Like if you expect it to always work, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. So
Amen
so
to
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's so key, and I'm glad you picked that up early because I've always heard, and it's so damn true, is that the the act of deploying offers and pretty much any piece of marketing comes, and the speed you do it is based on your self-worth and more ego than everything, because it's like putting this stuff together when you see how simple it can be, and you're like see someone like launching this page and you're like, wow, this is so simple, how is this working, only to then think, well, I have to actually do what all the 8-figure business owners are doing, where they have like a full on, professional designer and a professional photographer coming over to their mansion to take photos, and renting out the jet and all that shit, right? Where it's like you could just actually, hey, this let's just put like black and white page with some really good copy and a really clear like outcome of what we're going to deliver and a clear vision, to do that. So I'm so happy you picked that up. So tell me, like, what started happening when you launched these workshops? Like, what was kind of the outcomes you saw? Because you basically just went, I'm going to start deploying these things and running ads to them. So overall, like, how many have you done now for context?
I've done four.
You've done 4. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what was like the first 2? Like, what did that look like, and how has it been going so far?
So obviously I had so funny enough. I mean, I got into the online space with building funnels for clients. So like the last 4 or 5 years, like I mean, you'll know you did the same. As like a client wants a funnel to look good. They
Yeah.
expect this like beautiful looking thing. And so for me, the first time you said like just launch a black and white page, I was like, man, you've saved me like 2 weeks of work. And it's like it's unbelievable just how much focus we put on the wrong things. Yes, it does look good, but at the end of the day, it was like it made me become, because copy was never my strong point, but it made me understand that you can't hide here. It's like you
Mhm.
better say it in the least amount of words, the clearest outcome that someone can get,
Mhm.
to otherwise the thing doesn't work. Okay, so
Mhm.
so the idea that I had was, and it's still for me like that, is I'm pretty much testing stuff and showing my clients what works in real time. So it's like literally just in time learning. It's like, and that's what I did with the workshops. Is like I put the first one out there, and then I thought to myself, okay, instead of creating something completely new, what happens if I just keep testing how to run a workshop, but I just keep changing the angle of the workshop? So, for example, the first one was called Instant Workshops. I had that domain, by the way, so it actually worked out really well. So the first one was teaching people how to run the workshops. The second one was I changed the offer to $100 buyer, so it's pretty much workshops, but it's just framed differently. And then the third one, I just leveraged the end of year, which was Q4, so I called it Q4 Cash Campaign. So the delivery was, I'd say 75% the same, but each time I would test different stuff. So, for example, on the one I tested an upsell, on the one I tested different touch points, on the one I tested a different offer on the back end. So it was like, even though I had the same, like let's say my first clients came in, they didn't get the same delivery. They kept learning new things through the workshop, which I think is the ultimate end game of this model. Is you don't have to create everything from scratch the whole time. As long as you're just showing your clients even one small nuance that they can take and do in their business and get a result. That's the one thing that I've learned. And I mentioned it to you a few times. Like if you start seeing the foundation of the offers that you create, it's like there's only certain fundamentals that we have in these businesses, and there's only a certain amount of way you can talk about them. But as long as there's a kind of a new piece that you're testing, it's enough for the clients to feel quite happy to to learn that little piece.
That's yeah, excellent point. Because people just would prefer you spend your own money and then give
Yeah,
them the winning lottery ticket rather
yeah,
than them trying to figure it out, right? I think that's why, especially in our world of online marketing, where it's changing so much, where one type of sales process or funnel works very well for a little bit and then dies out, and then we find like some new thing that is just
Yeah.
maybe a slight tweak that makes the whole formula work, right? It's and that's I think what clients love is that experience. But you nailed it about before. I always thought the same thing, where you have to have a job of creating the work, the content, like in the course material, and then a job of then hosting workshops or something that's more front end based. Like, so this is a lead generation tool, this is a client delivery tool, and I never saw until I really installed the productized model that you could literally combine those two and do the same with one. Because right now, pretty much when I started, like I did the same thing. Like I had zero content. I had like an old 8-week program recording that I left in there. And I think we deleted it now and updated it. But yeah, like everything in there has just been doing these live intensive workshops, bringing people in, and then like using that as the content to actually deliver. So the model works really well. What have you been finding as far as the big differences between, like, you've been in this game for a while, you've been working behind the scenes, you've been working on different offers, like what's the big differences you see running this model versus like a traditional high ticket call model?
First thing that coming back to our previous thing, the one thing that I think people should also realize is those offers that we created, like there was no product out. We didn't create anything. You tested the idea. And when the idea clicked and you started getting content, I mean, it started getting sales. Now you're creating the content to deliver on that. So it's like, I mean, like there was nothing. Like I didn't have a Canva doc, I didn't have a Google doc, nothing. I had an idea that you put out, and then from there you iterate, which is the formula for launching an offer fast, which is
Yeah,
completely the opposite of what we always did. So the coming back to your next question was, I still work with a client that's in the kind of high ticket space, and I can tell you it's chaos. It's organized like it's like fires the whole time, and it's like I've obviously, like I mentioned previously, like I have a lot of boundaries with this client, so it's a really nice position for me to be in. It's like a dream client to have, but the beauty with me with this is, I mean, I've spent a lot of money on masterminds courses, like we all have, right? The biggest difference for me was, and I actually spoke about it to someone this morning on a call. We've all been in similar masterminds previously that we don't really need to mention on here, but for me, it's the intimacy. It's the fact that when I have a question, I can jump on a call, and it's typically 5, 6 people on a call, and you know that it's not just a quick answer because you have 40 other questions to answer. It's in depth. I will take you through the process, and I witnessed that first with you, and then I obviously implemented it with my clients, and now it's like you've gone from client to more friend because you now know everything about each other, right? You now you kind of do deep dives together, and I think that's the biggest difference is, with the rise of AI, is this can't be replicated by AI. It can assist us in doing things that we want to do. So, for example, launching offers, cutting up the content into different pieces. But the delivery and the intimacy, that can't be replicated.
very true.
I see with other clients that they're implementing AI setters, they're implementing AI closers, they're implementing, and that's kind of like, once you start taking the human aspect out of it, it's going to be funny. We're going to come back in a year's time and be like, hey, do you want to speak to a human? And you're like, yes, please. And you're like, well, we were there 2 years ago. So yeah, it's going to be funny. But yeah,
Oh,
it's mainly
true,
the
right?
intimacy for me.
I think that's so important because yeah, I think a lot of people like on the AI thing, they're overvaluing it, especially for really like high, like vital mission critical roles in the business. Um, like again, I like using AI to support with copy and potentially get a shitty rough draft done. I'm not the one that's gonna like write an entire sales page and call it a day with AI. Like I'll never do that, and I don't see myself, even as these models grow, ever doing that, because I know like the AI is going to run off a template, and it's the creativity that really brings forth something, but also the intimacy, exactly like you said. It's that like personal touch, it's that feeling, it's that connection, which humans are like, able to do, right? Where machines is a little bit harder to understand what an emotion is. But I think you nailed it with the high ticket thing, because I've seen the same, and I see it from like my team members too. Like I've got this one guy who like works for quite a large influencer, running the high ticket thing. And he's like, that guy is always stressed. He's always overwhelmed. Like, you're just so chill. Like, I'd love working with you. It's so fun. And I think it's so true because when you have a model that supports your life and your way of living versus trying to like fit something in and like building an 8 or 9 figure business, when you don't really want to do that, you might just be comfortable making 6 or 7 figures in profit. And that's great, right? I'm not going to be the person that says you got to have an 8 figure goal and rah, 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 right? I think that's so mission critical. I'm so happy you hit on that because it's so true. And oftentimes a big issue I see with high ticket models is that a lot of these companies are just really not sustainable. Like, I always see this. Like, it's very interesting. Like, you see all these cycles of like traffic and funnels as an example, like really hardcore high ticket model, like burnt out. Clients and community was the next one. Like, I actually thought clients and community was going to make it because I thought they had like a really good background. But again, now they've completely switched to a software offer, right? And it's a lot of these people that run ads to high ticket models where it's like you need so much infrastructure and team that you have to support these people and deliver, that you're just running on this hamster wheel nonstop versus being able to say like, I actually have profit in my business because I don't need all this team. Like, productized coaches, we create leverage through offers, and that makes such a big difference rather than trying to like hire people like crazy and then have to charge $10,000 to pay my team, right? Even if it's the wrong client, because I still need to pay the team, right? Such a big
We
thing.
we did that, like, and that's what I hit on often is like we used to chase leads, and it's like it chasing a lead is very expensive because we would increase the number of setters and would increase the number of closers because the ultimate high ticket model is you looking for the person that will pay now. If it's
Yep.
not now, cheers, I need another lead. So it's like you need to increase the volume to find the people that are willing to pay now, and that just increases everything. But you're so right. Like I mean, we know guys doing. I wish everybody could see the inside of these, high ticket businesses, because fortunately I've seen it, you've seen it. It's like the numbers are not as impressive as what you look in context. They
Yeah.
talk big numbers, but give us context as to what money you're taking home, and then it evens the playing field.
Show
So
me your profit. Show me the
that's
profit,
exactly
right? Like,
that's exactly. I was like my dad drilled that to me when I was younger, and I mean he still runs a very successful business, and he's like, let me we'll go and talk to people, and all that they talk about is revenue. No one talks about the quality of profit. And you're like, what
yeah,
is the thing that's going to grow your business? It's quality of profit. Doesn't matter how much revenue you make. If you take none home, you can make a billion. It makes no difference.
so
So,
true.
and I think that's what this industry misses.
I think, and it's really interesting because it's like I quoted this in my recent sales page. Mark Ford, or what's the guy's name? Michael Matherson, I think, the guy who founded Agora. And like, it's funny, everyone is running this playbook of Ready Fire Aim, except I don't think anyone read the book, because in the book it literally says you're not going to make any money until you hit a $10 million a year business. And I think
Okay.
everyone just kind of glossed over him saying that and be like, oh yeah, it's all great. Like, let's just hire like crazy. It's like 7 to 8 figures. Like, you're probably still losing money at this point. It
Yeah.
literally says that in the book.
Yeah.
And everyone is
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, follow this playbook. It tells you everything you need to grow a business. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that maybe, again, if you're trying to build a 9 figure business and you're trying to
Yeah.
do that, amazing. Like, go follow that path, right? That's the path for you. But if you're just wanting something that is able to put a nice chunk of change in your bank account every single month and not having this huge amount of operational complexity,
Yeah.
then heck, like, just keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
Man, this has been so good. Like, I would say, like, what is the one thing you would say about working with me directly that has really like impacted you the most through your journey?
That's a great question. I I think what like where we hit it off was that we came from talking as mates rather than trying to sell on each other, if that makes sense. So it was like it was always just a relationship of like back and forth, like, hey, what's going on, how are you doing? And now it's just taken that to a new level of like, hey, listen, I found something, do you want it? And it's like, the one thing that I've learned is, and that I really appreciate about you, is there's not many people who can be happy for someone who succeeds more than they do. And I'm not, I mean, I'm way off where your numbers are, but what I'm saying is that there are so few people that will help people close to them to be able to achieve a next level and a next level and a next level. And and that's been really refreshing, is because it always feels like people will support you, just not better than what they're going to do. And it's
Yeah.
like, I think what people realize when they work with you is just the I mean, we've said it before, the authenticity, and just the you like genuinely being there to help. Like it's filtered into what I do with my clients now. It's just like, just show up and help the client. That's all they want. They just want the confidence in knowing that someone is there to back them. They're not looking for anything more. They're not looking for anything less. And just be that person that can be the foundation when things are a little bit wonky. And I think that for me is sums it up as best it can.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's my big thing. Like I have technically a client that crushed it last month, like $92,000 launch. And I'm so happy. That's like bigger than my number. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that's freaking awesome. I'm so pumped for her. Because yeah, like my whole thing is just wins, and especially setting this year target of 10 million in client revenue, really just changes the game of where you're focusing and what you're
yeah,
creating and what you're trying to do. Because it's so easy to get caught up on the like mundane of trying to embody this almost like guru like image, when I'm like, that's just, let's just throw all that shit away. I don't need to do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And one of the things I'm actually like, I remember one of the first conversations we had, which I'm super happy I was able to guide you in this direction, was you were originally coming in thinking like, oh, for just the South African market. I remember that.
yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, nobody's doing this. And I'm like,
Good
dude,
point.
screw that. Like, go bigger. You no
Yeah,
reason. Like, come in. Like, and you're technically in the same niche as me. I'm like, I don't care. Do it bigger, right? Like, go
yeah,
bigger, go like worldwide. There's no reason that you just need to target South Africa.
yeah,
And by doing that, as soon as you kind of started hitting on the worldwide ads for your first workshop, I remember you're like, damn, this is working really good. And
yeah.
I'm super happy for that, man. So final note here, what is like the biggest thing you'd say to anyone about joining the Catalyst, joining the community, and getting some support on getting their ads and their offers dialed in?
I was actually having a think about it, and the it's one of the first offers. I don't have an income claim on any of my offers. So that was a big thing for me, because that always felt a little bit slimy. And the second thing is, I have two clients in my program that the one is clearing uh, just on 10K MRR, but does frequently 25K months. That is substantially more than I'm doing. But that just shows the proof that just because someone is far ahead of you in terms of the revenue, you can still help them with the skills that you are building up, because they still want guidance on XYZ. He comes from a background of, dude, low margins, running a webinar, doesn't know what to do next. And it's like, and I think that's the main thing, is just having the belief in yourself. Like, I completely forgot about the story where I started in South Africa, and you're damn right. And it was like, it's just having that person that just pushes you that the little bit further, and in a way that's genuine, not in a way to send you in the wrong direction. So for anybody that's wanting to join, it's like, this is as close to an online family as you can, because ultimately this is a lonely game. If people around you, I'm talking about your immediate family, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever, doesn't understand what you do, it's extremely hard to get that kind of fulfillment, or that piece that's missing. You can't explain it. Where being in the Catalyst and just having a place to offload and ask questions, that's ultimately what you're gaining.
Well, yeah, man. Well, heck, I appreciate that. And um, that's all ultimately I wanted to build, was just an incredible group of people and all growing together and just continuously evolving here. So thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate you so much. I'm so excited to see you on Monday and help you get that offer dialed in.
So we'll see you guys later.
Cheers.